Hello, this is Mikey from Lost Treasure Designs. Today we're going to be putting together this beautiful apothecary folio and journal holder. It's kind of fun. It's different. It's all printed, like it's a print and make kit. It's got lots of pockets, lots of tags, lots of different interactive elements. It's got a few dividers. Also in the dividers we have journals, and these journals can be removed, so you don't have to like necessarily have it in here while you're journaling. It has an elastic here that holds that in. So I will show you how to put that together. So, and it has two of those. So we have two journals, lots of pockets, more pockets, and then this will be like an optional pen holder that we'll create. So this is our apothecary kit. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. Might have to refer to that again to remind myself how I put it together. Okay, so this kit has a lot of pages. It has 30 pages, 28 pages, almost 30 pages. The first few pages, pages 1 through 6, is pretty much just these little flat pockets, okay? And I suggest putting those, printing those on the back of one of the designer papers that come with the kit, as well as the little pocket insert cards. You don't have to. That's something that I did. It adds a little more color to the kit. So that is pages 1 through 6. Then we get to page 7. These here, you don't need to have any backing on them at all. Just print them on heavy cardstock. Everything that I've printed is on 100-pound cardstock. I suggest anything from 90 above. Once we're done, it's a pretty solid book, so it will get to the thickness where we're not going to need any like chipboard or anything like that. So these pages, this is page 7, page 8, these are pages 9 and 10. This is our binding here, our spine binding. This one is not. And then also on this page, it comes with 2 spine covers. So it's optional whether you want to have the one that says the Apothecary Compendium, or you could just do the one that is a blank one. It's up to you. So there's 2 optionals. If you decide to use this one and not this one, you can turn the other one into a bookmark. So that is what is on page 9, as well as one of our front cover pockets. These ones, again, you don't need to have printed on the back of anything because we're going to be gluing those down. Then we have page 10. Page 10 is another one of our flaps. We have the back cover flap, is that, as well as another pocket. And then our back inner cover flap. This is because we're building up layers to make, so I could call these like our support pages that are going to go in between things. Then our next pages that we have are going to be our panels that are going to cover these as well. We don't need to print anything on the backs of these, since they will just be being glued down. So those are the next few pages. Then we're going to get to page 16, which is going to have this, which is going to be our binding for our to keep all of our stuff in. So we're going to, this is our binding here. It's going to be holding in our files to separate each of these sections, okay? So that is what we will be doing here. When you do this, there are lots of score lines. I made these darker because you're going to see these sections, you're going to see those. These middle sections here are lighter, and that's to help you to know that that is where the folder is then going to insert, which our next part will be the folder. So those will insert in between those, so that that's why those are a lighter color. Just so you know, if I forget to tell you later on, which I just might. We have some pockets in the page 20. So these are our folder dividers. I suggest printing these on the back of a designer page only because they are going to be part of the kit. You're going to actually see them. If you look at mine, I printed, the kit comes with a few horizontal patterns and a few portrait panels. I printed landscape panels on these, which I should have done the other way, but that's okay because it still looks good when it's all done. Okay, so I think that's gone through. Oh, the very next page, 21, is we're going to have this. This is our spine cover. It's going to make our spine here just look a little prettier, so that it's all nicely put together. And it also is giving us some support there as well. Okay, so I think the rest of the kit is just a bunch of tags and embellishments and stuff like that. So I'm going to set the panels off to the side. I won't be using those yet. I will want these close by, and I'm going to want this close by. Okay, the rest of these, you kind of set them off to the side. Oh, I would like to go over what I'm going to be using. So this is what I've done is I've measured out the length of the book, and then I just doubled it. But this is about probably like 38 inches of ribbon, and I just went with this nice vintagey lace ribbon. You could go with any ribbon. You don't have to do a ribbon as your closure, but that's just what I chose to do for this one. You could use a little bracket here on the side. You could just leave it open. It's up to you. That is something that we will be using. Some ribbon. I've got two. These are about 15 inches long. This is just some elastic cording. I have two of those because we will be putting in two journal holders. This is just a little embellishment. I don't even know what you would call this. It's a piece of metal that it's going to just, it's like a decorative thing. It's just going to go here. You don't have to do that. It's optional. I put it there because I thought it helped finish it off a little bit. Then I'm going to be using some larger brass brads. Say that 10 times real fast. And then some smaller ones that I will just be embellishing with. The last thing that you will need that I will be using are these little eyelet grommets. And you'll want 4 of those, which I only have 2 in there, so I'll need to grab 2 more. Okay, so I'm just going to put these off to the side because we will be using them. Other things you'll need is some glue. I'm using just Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm using some tape. And I have gone ahead and cut all my pieces out, but then I've gone around and I have chalked or inked them all. I went with the ground espresso of the Ranger's Distress Oxide. You could also go with, you know, different colors, whatever you want. You could go with a green. This is pretty much my go-to, is I just really like the darkness of that. So now you can choose to not chalk or ink the edges. However, when it's all put together, you would see like the white edges here. It just cleans it up and makes it look a lot nicer when they're all inked up. Okay, so we're going to start with this page here. There are 2 score lines, a score line here and here. This is page number 7, I think. Let me go back and check. Yes, this is page 7. It's going to attach to page 8, which hopefully one of these says to attach to page 7. Right here. This is your page 8. This is page 7. Just gonna slide these off to the side. Gonna go ahead. This is some double side tape. And I'm just gonna run this along that edge. Grab a little straight edge here. And then I'm just gonna run just a little bit of glue down over. I find using a mix of tape and glue works best for me. It just holds things together really well. The glue really holds together the best. The tape just helps things attach a lot quicker. Put that over, make sure I don't have any goo on the sides. Okay, so here is our bones of our album. I guess you could call this an album. I don't know what I'm going to call it. We'll call it an album, folio, journal holder thing. Okay, so there you have that. Now, you're going to be patient with me as we put this together because I have a really bad memory. I know I just barely put this together like maybe 2 days ago. I don't quite remember everything that I did, so hopefully I left myself enough good notes here to put things together. I know you're probably thinking I'm crazy, but yeah, that's me. Okay, so this is our front flap support. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over this way, because these are going to attach on either side of these. So we have our front and our back. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. And I'm just going to use my fingers to align these up as best as I can. I will do some more inking in a little bit. I just want to make sure that my edges are as close to being even as I can. Okay, so there is that side. And our other panel here. Want to make sure that glue gets nicely distributed. Okay, so now we have those put together. Our next step is going to be not that one, this one. This is our, we're going to attach our binding to that. This is going to attach to here, but first I'm going to attach it to here. On this piece, there is a score line here, and then like an 1/8 of an inch over, not even, yeah, 1/8 of an inch over, there's another score line. So it's right up against the dark green here. You'll want to score on both sides. I've scored those, but I haven't folded them over yet. Let's see, got my little metal. Oh, I love my kids, but they are constantly getting into my stuff. It's so much easier to do this if you have like a little ruler. When you have score lines so close together, it's a lot easier than having to do it all by hand. Okay, so I'm just folding in these two score lines. Just it'll be a lot easier if they're scored before we glue them down, since we're going to be needing to fold this later. I have this other really big one. Let me just use this. It's easier just to flip your ruler over to the flattest side and go right up against that line. That way you can fold both of those little sections. Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to fold it back out. Just paper has a memory, and it's less likely to crack and tear if you can kind of ease it into the position you want it before you actually do that. I'm running tape along this edge here, and I will run tape along this as well. But I won't do the whole thing. I'm going to do the middle and then the edges, just because those are what's going to be held the most, and the glue will hold the rest. Maybe that would be better, but it's not. I wonder if I can use tweezers. I need to figure out something to get the back of my tape off. Just use my fingernail. All right. Okay, I'm going to run some glue, running glue along that seam. It doesn't matter if this is upside down or not. Okay, when I place this, I want to try to line up. You see that there's the fold line here and here. You can I don't know if you can see them. This one is like almost on the edge of this panel here. This one is like, you can see this one a little bit more defined. So I'm just lining up my fold lines with this center fold. Make sure it goes on straight. Alright. If you have any boogers on the side, just go ahead and clean those up. Okay. So now we've got that done and that done. You kind of see how that's looking. It's already a lot sturdier. But we're going to even make it more sturdy. Okay, our next step is this guy. And I'm just going to flip it over to our front section. And this has a score line here and on the other side, and then it's also got score lines on these flaps. This is just going to fold over, so I didn't put a score there, but we will see. I'll show you when we go to move it over how it's going to wrap across the top there. I am running some tape along my edges. And then I'm just running one strip of tape across there. And then I'm going to try to do something a little trickier with the tape, because I don't want to have that stick down quite yet. I guess you could like not run it all the way across the whole thing like I did. I just want these little flaps to not be sticky right this second. I don't want it to get in the way. So I'm running some glue. Okay. And then this, we're going to line up these score lines, these fold lines with the score line here. I'll flip this over. Line everything up. And then put it down. That's going to give us a really nice secure spine, because the whole weight of everything is on this spine, and it just helps us to have that extra support in there. Now I'm going to flip it back over, and I can remove these pieces of tape, and I'm going to add some glue, and then these we're just going to curve around. And that's just going to give us a cleaner edge on our spine. You'll notice that mine is like slightly off. It might be that I just had this slightly off when I put it on. The true test is whether you can actually close it. So we're still good. Okay. Really want to make sure that is nice and secure. Okay. Now we're going to move to this guy. And this is a standard accordion fold. What we're going to do is, you have one side that's got one, the other side has two. I'm going to fold these together so that we have color on both edges. Then these are going to fold together to create a little holder for the folder. Like so. And then we're just going to keep going back and forth. So there. And I'm going to flip it over. Go this way. Flip it over. Oh, nope. I want this one to be flat, so this one's going to go up. Sorry, this gets a little tricky, but once you figure it out, then you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. As long as you're getting the lighter edges together, you will be fine. There, and our last one. I make this look so complicated. I really don't think it's as complicated as I'm making it look. And our last one. Alright, so when this is all done, you should have one little flap here that's going to hold those together with color on both sides of that. A flat one that's going to get glued down, then another holder, another row of flatness, another holder, and then one row. So you'll have 3 total strips that are going to actually be holding this to the book face here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, I know, we just got this all folded up, but remember we're helping it to remember what it's going to do. Because what I'm going to do now is I want to run some tape on these lighter insides. This will just help us when we are attaching our folders or dividers later, that we have that done. Okay, so that's done. I think I use the most amount of tape on this project than I have used on other projects. And honestly, I used to like be so against tape because I could never get it to go on very well, because I would like always need to move something around. Alright, so now we have the front. I'm going to flip this over because I'm going to run a strip of tape along this. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to skip one. And the reason why I'm skipping one is because these two are going to be together. So I don't have to worry about this side, because that's going to go together. And then so that goes there. That's going to go there. So I want to put one, so I'm going to skip another one, skip one more. Put one next to this one. Then I'm going to skip one. Skip one. This one's going to go next to this one. And look at that, I've already gone through a roll of tape. And then we're going to skip one. And that's our last one. Okay, so this is the one that's got our 2 on the end. So we flip this over and we've got 2 tapes. Skip one, tape, skip one, 2 tapes, skip one, tape, skip one, 2 tapes, skip one, tape, and then leave this one blank. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to remove all of these. Wonder if there's something we can do with the backs of all of these. We shouldn't think that way. I'll start collecting them in a drawer. I'm a art teacher. I teach grade school art, K through 6. So I'm constantly saving the strangest things for art projects. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to first start with the ones that are going to be glued together. And that is our second one in here. So I'm just going to fold this and then pinch this together. Okay, that gives us one, and then this one is going to be pinched together. And I'm going to show you on the other side. You can see how those got put together, and we still have our tape running in there. Okay, so you can kind of see what madness, the method to the madness. I'm just going to go ahead and run some glue just down these other sides, because I know that those are what's going to be going together. So we're going to skip one now. Now these two are going to go together. Okay. Skip one, and oh, we're not skipping one. We're just putting this one together with that one. We don't skip one yet. We probably need to come and really press these down on the other side once we get these down. Since I'm de-stickifying all my stuff, guess I didn't have to take the tape off of those ones. Oh well. Okay, now we're gonna this one goes in here, so this one goes down. And we should be left with 3 sticky ones that we will then put down on here. Okay, so I'm going to do some pressing and stuff once I get this down, but first I'm going to run some glue. Really put nice amount of glue, especially where there's not tape. Okay, and then this, I'm wanting to put this down in between this score line and that score line. And I want this extra flap to be on this back end, on the right side. You can kind of tell what's going where, because the little potion bottles, or the apothecary bottles, are going to then be in the right direction. So I have this lifted up a little bit on this side, and I'm just lining this up with that edge. I'm giving myself a little bit of a space on here and here. I've left myself more on the top than I did on the bottom. Looks like more of a 1/4 inch versus an 1/8 of an inch. I mean, kind of eyeball how you're gonna get that a little straighter. Just putting down my other section. Just making sure that those are nicely together. Okay, so now that I have that down, I'm just going to really press these in. I'm going to grab my better tool for this. So I want to make sure that my spine attaches really well to my spine. Although we will be putting in our little grommets, and that will also give us some support. But I want to just make sure that the glue gets distributed. I don't want wrinkles. Alright, that's there and there, and for the last, got some snot coming out. Oh my goodness, I'm talking like a grade school teacher. Alright, so we have flap, holder, flap, holder, flap. Okay, that is down, and you can choose to like let this rest so that it has time for that glue to cure. One thing I suggest is letting that happen, just giving it time to rest so that that can set. While that's setting, you can work on these fun pockets. Okay, so I'm just grabbing one of these. Again, this is pages 1 through 4. Okay, there's a score line going across here, here, and then across this flap. The white flaps are going to be tucked into the pocket. So when you are putting that down, that is where your white flaps go. Make sure that your side here gets in first. Put your side down first, then your back. That way you don't have issues putting your little inserts in later. Okay, I just went ahead and ran glue on each edge. Now I'm going to just close that up. Make sure that this is lined up with this edge here. And there we have our first little pocket insert. And then this will attach to the folder. Okay, so work on all of these while that dries. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to pause and do the rest of these off screen because you don't need to see me do the same thing 8 different times. And just go ahead and collect these off to the side. We'll be using them in a little while. Alright, so I finished these up, and I wanted to show you real quick. Every now and then you're going to have it where you folded it over and you see a little bit of that white edge. Just go ahead and come in with your ink and play a game called Hide the White. And that just helps to make those look a little bit nicer so that you don't see that white edge. Doesn't happen on all of them, but sometimes when we do like scoring, we don't quite get the score line right where we want it. And that just helps to make it look a little bit more finished off so it's not lacking. Okay, so hide the white. Okay, that's done. We still have this fun thing to put together. Okay, so I think this has gone down enough. Maybe like it's been 5 minutes or so. Okay, so our next step is to put some grommets in on both ends of here. I'm going to be using this little crocodile. I think that's what it was called. It's got two sides. It's got like a standard like hole punch, and then this one is a little bit smaller. I've gone ahead and I've moved this little dial back because I don't want to be right on the edge of that. When I did this one, I got really close to the edge and I had a harder time. See how close I was to the edge of that one. And really using elastic, you can go in a little bit further. That way you can actually support that a little bit more. I had to like hold clamps to that so that it would actually stick down. So this time I'm going to make sure I'm on the right thing. I'm going to go in probably like a 1/2 inch. In fact, I can make sure I go 1/2 inch. This tool is nice because you can do a setting on there so that you're going in, although that doesn't look like it went in very evenly. Because on this side I'm going to go in about 1/8 of an inch more because I didn't have it quite even when I did that. So you can kind of see I've got 4 little holes. Okay, so now grab these little grommets. There's a front and a back. My goodness. Maybe my life would be easier if I like grew out my nails or something. I can't get that out, it's like stuck. It's gone around that little circle. Oh. Alright, I've got 2 pull out. This is my container of all things brass. 2 more of those and 2 more little backs. These are smaller. Goodness, I don't remember what size they are. These are like a standard one that you would use, which is a lot bigger, and so you can kind of see there is quite a difference in the size of those. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put these into these little holes. One there. So then we have those. And I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to put their little backs on. And then there are different tools that you can use to secure these on. This crocodile that I've got is nice because it does it for me. You could just like use a pin and hit it with a hammer. This has got like a little thing that helps me to flatten those out. So I'm just going to, it's a little tricky because I gotta get in there. This is always so weird trying to do this without getting my head in the way of the camera. Especially when these flaps don't want to stay out of my way. And last one. Alright, so now those are down, and that helps to double secure this down, so that this is nice and solid. Okay, I'm going to flip this over. Why do I have, oh, I must have had an extra one. I'm confusing myself. Okay. Alright, now that those are down, we are going to grab our two 15-inch elastic cording. You can find this at your craft store. I got this from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I'm just going to feed it through on both sides. I'm going to do it both of these at the same time. Just kind of go through and then go through on this side. I'm going to flip this over because now we're going to, I want you to pull it tight, but you don't want it like super tight. I'm actually going to tie these together. So I'm just going to wrap it around. Tie a knot. You might not need to use as much string as I did, but I find if I don't give myself enough string, I've got really big fingers and I won't have enough to wrap around my finger if I don't give myself enough. Okay, so I'm just doing a double knot, and then I'm gonna where's my scissors? Grab my scissors, and I'm just gonna trim these edges. Now that those are trimmed, I'm going to run some tape just along these different sections, and that's just going to help secure this down because we don't want these like popping off when you're trying to put your journal away. Okay. I'm just going to press down the tape so that it's nice and bonded. Okay. And then we get to put down our first pretty piece after this. Although I just remembered, as I'm doing this, we'll have to set it off to the side for just a second. So don't add any glue just yet. This is an optional thing, but I think it's going to make it look a little more fancy pants. So here is our spine cover. We're going to attach that here, but before we do that, I want to put some brads. You can kind of see where I've put some rivets into the artwork, but I want to make it look a little bit nicer. So I've got brads. These are your standard size brads, because I want the bigger brads on the end here. So I'm going to grab a piece of foam and just going to punch that through. And then, ooh, I'm going to like break that off. Punch that through. I think that's just going to dress it up a little bit. I think you can always dress up things. It makes it just look so much nicer. You could do some corner brackets if you wanted. That might jazz it up some. I'm going to flip this over. And I'm just going to open these up. Oh my goodness. My hand started to shake. There we go. Alright. So now I'm going to add glue all along this guy. A lot of times I would put a piece of tape over the brad, the legs of the brad, but I'm not going to worry about that since they're just decorative. The glue will hold them in place since they're not really hanging on to anything. Okay, so now I want to make sure that this is facing the right way. Like a book, we read it like that. This is our front panel here, so I'm just going to put this down. And I've got my little lines. You can see where those score lines are to kind of help set those down. And because you have that knot, you're going to have to ease it over and kind of just use your fingers and ease it in. And it kind of makes it bump out a little bit, but you can get it to smooth down once it starts to actually stick to the paper. Really press down. Now you can come in with your tool here and scrape across that, not scrape across, but like push down across that. But I'm just going to grab some of my wife's prints that she printed for her class. She's a second grade teacher. She won't know that I'm doing this. But I don't want to scrape off the ink of that. So that's why I used that. But we won't tell her. Okay, so there is our spine. And it is beautiful. Flip this back over. And you can see that we have our This is going to be a little bit different because I put it on the wrong, well, I put my spine on the wrong side. So this is going to be upside down, or my spine is going to be upside down. I think my spine's just going to be upside down because I want this to be right side up, and really the spine doesn't matter if it's reading that way or this way. So since this is the front, back. Okay, so now we have these all in, and that's just going to help us when we have a journal. This is one of the journals. I've already put it together. Actually, this kit only comes with what, 20 journal pages. So I printed off all 20 front to back. I laid them down, punched staples through them, and then I folded it in half. It's a very easy, obviously I've got some inking to do on those still, but that way I'm going to give myself 2 really nice journals. But when you put this in, it's just going to go right around. I like to do it around the middle where the fold of the journal goes in, and that's just going to hold it in to the book. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that now, but I just wanted to show you. Okay, put that down. The next step is, well, we could put these in, but I'm not going to do that yet. I think we're going to work on panels right now. So I'm going to flip this back over, and we're going to work on putting our front panel and our back panel. And the reason why I want to do our front panel first is because I want to add some more brads, but I want to be able to cover up the brads on this side with my insert, my inner panels. So you're going to grab, this is our front panel and our back panel. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. So I did a little boo-boo here. Well, it wasn't boo-boo, I just got ahead of myself. So I was putting these down when I realized that I did not put my ribbon in. Normally I put it behind the spine, and you can kind of see how it goes, wraps all the way around here. That just is so that it holds a little bit better, but I forgot to do that. So while I was putting this in, I cut my ribbon in half, glued this down, and then put the panel on top. So I'm not going to try to get ahead of myself again. I'm going to show you. I'm going to put the rest of the ribbon over on this side and glue this panel down. So I'm just going in the middle with some glue. Obviously, I don't need that much ribbon underneath this, but I had already cut that to be the size that I wanted, so I'm just putting this paper over so that I don't scratch up the panel. I have a tendency to push really, really hard. I don't want to scratch that up or scrape it, so. Okay, so now we have the front panel, the back panel on for the cover. So our cover is where we want it. Now I'm going to add a few embellishments. Again, this was just like a little brass embellishment. I'll have to figure out where I got it and maybe put it in the notes. I'm using that along with a small brad. Grab my piece of foam and my awl pokey tool. Just gonna poke that hole, put my brad through. While I have this here on this foam, I'm also going to do my corners. I just want to add just a little bit to the front of this by putting some brads. This over. These are nothing more than decorative. They're not gonna. This one's a little harder to go through because it's got several more layers. Okay. When I did the first time, when I did this, I put these brads on the back as well. I decided not to do that because they kept, these two actually busted off every time I went to go open it. They just kind of got worn down, I guess. So I opted not to put that on there. I will put another decorative one on the back though, just to help secure that ribbon. So that's the only difference between this one and that one. We'll be putting those on. And we want to do these brads before we do the panel so that it hides the little prongs. And I like to kind of, you can see how I kind of turn them in so that they're not sticking out where they're going to be in the way of gluing this down. Okay. And then I'm just going to do one more. Alright, so now I'm ready to put those panels in. Yep, had it right. Okay, this is my front panel, my back panel. You'll know by the curves, the curved corners, where those are going to go. I think I put these in first. Yes, I'm pretty sure I put them in first. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 pockets in the back and 4 pockets in the front. And because I have different patterns, I want to make sure that each of these have a different pattern. That's just the way I printed it. You could have these all the same. You could keep it white. I like to see the patterned paper. I am just going to double check where that's going to end up. Okay. So that you know what I was doing, I was laying the panel out where I want to put it with it just a tiny little edge here, just so that I know where the end of this is going to rest, because I don't want these to go all the way over, because I'm going to then be gluing this down, and I want those to, you know what we could do? I just had a thought. We could glue them down to this first. That way it doesn't matter where we put it. I think we're going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bottom. Let's see how this is going to work, because it needs to be like this. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to flip it over. This will help us out. I'm just going to run, this is probably about a 1/4 inch of glue up the side here. And when I put this down, you might want to fold this back so that you can see where it's going to fold, because I want this fold edge to be just on the other side. Oh, I'm doing this wrong. Just on the other side. Hold on. Got to make sure I got this going on right. Okay. I want this to, you can kind of see the fold line here, so I'm matching the edge of this up with just on the other side of that fold line. Okay, so now I'm going to grab these other ones. And when I laid these out, they all were about halfway in between each other. So, oh, I want to fold this down just to get that crease in there. Lining that up. I want this to be in the halfway point. So get that down. Hold this one back. One thing with glue is if it's not dry, it will still move around. Pull that down and back. Line it up. Okay. And that should solve the problem of having it on the edge. So now I'm going to flip it back over. All of these can then lay flat. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more color to this because you can kind of see where the paper got a little worn with all that heavy bending. Okay. So now this panel is ready to glue down. Flip it back over this way. I think I'm going to run some tape along here just because we've got a lot of bulk. Right here I want to make sure that this edge really gets down really well. And the rest we can just go ahead and glue. And I am just trying to evenly put this down so that it has just a bit of that green border around. Get that down. I can open that back up and really go to town with pushing down. Of course, right here we've got that brad, so can't push down too hard. One trick that I have learned though, if you have like a brad, I don't know where my phone, you can use anything. Like this is just the foam, but it lifts it up just a little bit so that I can run this over without that brad pushing into the back, because that we don't want a little bump there. That's one thing you can do to help with that. Okay, so that edge is done. That looks really good and clean. I think I'm going to do the same thing to this side. So I'm going to flip this over. And these are going to be a little bit different because we're going to be gluing them down this way. Yep. Okay. We'll be gluing it down like that. Then once again, I want to make sure that the fold, the crease of this, is on the other side of that edge. And glue down halfway. Give this a little bend. Somehow I ended up with, like, yeah, I just noticed I did a boo-boo what I didn't want to do, but that's okay. You probably saw it before I did. It's not really a boo-boo. I was just trying to spread out the patterned paper. And I have 2 of the same one on this one and 2 of the same one on that. And I didn't want that. But it's okay. These actually get covered up once you put the stuff in there. Oh, didn't have to go down so far on that one. Let's see if I can just pull that up a little bit. Alright, while I have this going that way, I'm just going to run some tape along that edge. I'll flip this back over. Oh my goodness. Look what I did. I put every single one of those upside down. Oh, did I do it on that? No, I did those ones all right side up. Yeah. Way to go, Mikey. Well, you know what? I can't live with it. I do not recommend doing this, but it'll bother me. Did such a good job gluing these down. I'll have to say it's a good thing that these are going to get covered up, because that looks yucky. But you know what's nice about that is that I already have a nice row of tape here. We'll look on the bright side. Okay. Just give it a little bit more glue. I want to make sure that this is all going the right direction. Now, how do I get that to go the right way? So I want those to go the right way. I am just going to lay this so that it is just off to the side of those. All right. Alright, now all the pretty ladies are facing the right direction. They're not upside down. I do put a lot of thought into the art when I'm creating these. You'll see that like each of these little things. I mean, they have the same setup, but each of these are like a little bit different. And I want to showcase that. Okay, so I'm going to run some glue. First I'm going to run some tape along this mess. Luckily it's going to get all covered up. Before I put this down, I'm going to just give it a little bit of color. Okay. I'm curious, do you put your glue down the same way every time? Or are you like me and you have absolutely no method to how you place your glue? I've watched tutorials where they brush it out on, which probably be nice because then it goes on really evenly, but I don't have time for that. Get out of the way. Alright, just putting that down. I'm going too far over. Move over. There we go. Push these down really good. All right. Okay, so we have our cover pretty much there. The last thing I'm going to do is I want to go around and ink just the edges of this again, because not everything is going to line up exactly perfect because I don't cut perfectly, although it should. If you were to have it print perfectly and you then cut it perfectly, everything should line up perfectly because it was designed that way. But we all know how things go. Sometimes you see just a tiny bit of white, and I don't want to see any white. Could probably have trimmed the spine down to a little bit. Oh, it's because I had it over just a little bit. I will probably end up trimming that a little bit, but for now it will stay. Okay, so our next step is to put our file, the dividers. You can choose how you're going to do this. If you want to start with the middle one, you want to start with the top one, top bottom one. I'm just going to go like this. And we've already put some tape along these for us. So I'm just going to remove the tape. And then I'm going to run just a little bit of glue just on one side. I don't need to put it on both sides because it's got the tape. So I'm just going to put this in, and I want to try to eyeball it. It works really good if you put it right down into the corner, and then you can slide it back and forth until you get it to where it needs to go. And then I'm just going to take and close it up. Sandwich it in between those two. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Alright, and our last one. Just gonna go ahead and run my tool along these just to make sure that they are nice and stuck down. Okay, so now we have our dividers in. We are pretty much ready to just start dressing it up. We have our cards. They're gonna go into these. They're kind of nice because they have a little picture that says Tropa Belladonna. There's a little picture of it. So it's with our apothecary, so it just kind of looks like it is something maybe that we're pulling these out of. I've also, I printed these ones on the back of designer paper, and then I went and edged all the pockets. So we got those, and then we'll put these ones in. Okay, so other things that come with the kit. Oh, those are in my face. Okay, we have some pockets. These pockets are for the back, and these pockets are here for the front flap. This one has the little wings so that you can fit more in this particular pocket. Go ahead and fold those down. I've already edged everything with ink. these are really optional because you could, there's so much stuff in this kit that you could really dress this up however you would like to make it your own style. This top one, I'm just going to go around the edge. Put that down. Alright, I had fun with all the little brass accents with this kit. Okay, let's get this to the back now. Fold all this stuff down. Okay. Then these, you can choose whether you're going to layer them. That's going to be your top one, or if you want that to be your top. See how I did this. This one, yeah, I didn't like that. Okay, so this next part is optional, but we're going to put a little pen holder here on the end. So I want to make sure that when I put these down, that I'm putting them over far enough that I have just a little bit of a gap here. If you don't want a pen holder, you could center this, you could move it all the way over. It's whatever you want to do, but I'm putting the pen on the end here because we have more closing space here than we do if we were to put it here. It wouldn't close properly. So just folding down our wings. Gonna add some glue. And then this, I'm just gonna lay this down, this one, because I want to make sure that this corner of the pocket gets covered by this edge here. So it just has to make sure that it goes up high enough. Put it down, count to 10. I'll tell you to count to 10. I tell my art kids to count to 20. And they probably all count to like 5, if that. When I lined this up, I just wanted my border here to match the same width of my border on the bottom. So that's how I determined where this was going to be placed. So now we're going to make this little pen holder. And I used just scraps when I was making pockets for this. This particular one I just printed off some of the designer pages and then just cut random shaped pockets and dressed it up that way. These were just like 3 by 5, 6, yeah, 3 by 6 rectangles that I then just layered, and those were just the decorative papers that I did to create little pockets for those. Okay, so when I did that, I had some extras left over. So I've got not that. Let's see. Okay, so okay, I want to cut. This is just one of the designer papers, printed front and back. The only reason why is because, well, I'm going to use this for pockets and such, but I also want to see the color, because you will see it when you look in, when the pen's not in there. So I'm just cutting off the extra here, just trimming off the white, and then you're going to want to grab either a pencil, or I wouldn't go with a pencil because you never know like how thick the pen is going to be, so whether it's going to be a smaller pen, but this, I don't know what the diameter of this is, but if I hold this next to a pencil, you can see how it's like a little bigger than a pencil. Probably the biggest pen that you would have. I'm just going to roll this around. And that's just going to tell me how far I need it. So around, this is going 2.5 inches. So put it over on this side. Put it at 2.5. Zip it down. Okay. Get a little messy. Okay, now what I want to do before, well, no, I can do it now. I'm going to roll this up one more time. And you want to make sure that it's nice and tight. I'm going to run some tape on the inside of this. I'm going with tape because I don't know what I did with my tool. We will use this. Okay. I'm going with tape because I want it to go down really quick. But as I am rolling this up, once I get to paper against paper, then I know where I can start with glue. And then I'm just going to continue this. You want to make sure that you're on the thickest part of your pen. If it's like a curvy pen, this has a little bit of a curve to it, so I want to make sure that I'm on the thicker end when I roll that around. And I'm just gonna press down so that stays secure. Give it a minute to dry, get a little cured in there. Okay, so now I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to snip probably like 1/4 of an inch, and I'm doing this like every 1/4 of an inch. So I'm snipping in 1/4 of an inch, going in, snipping around every 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to push these in, and I'm just going to kind of go around. Once I get to a point that it starts to overlap, then I'm going to put a little bit of glue down. And I just want to put a little bit of glue just on the edges here, so that where the overlaps hit, that is where the glue is going to get the other side. You don't have to do this, but it's nice if your pen doesn't have like a little handle to catch on, that it has something to help stop it. So, well, that is drying. I'm going to just set it down like this. I'm going to touch up the top of this. You can barely see in there, but you could have printed this on just one side and then inked your color. I don't want to see the white. So that is all done. If you want, you can distress that up some. Okay, so now to attach it, I'm going to go where my seam is, and I'm going to run a strip of tape down that seam. You can use your whatever you used before. Make sure that, I think I need to add a tiny bit more glue to this last flap. Stay down. Okay. You can just go ahead and leave that in because you're going to be using it anyway. I'm going to peel off the back of the tape, and I'm going to go on either side of the tape with some glue. I just want to make sure that this sticks well, but then the glue helps to really adhere it. Then I'm just going to place it in between my pocket and the edge. Just kind of eyeball it so that it's going in the center. And then you can use this pen, well, the tool, whatever you're using, inside so that you can really press down. And I'm just going to press and hold for like 10 seconds. Okay. Then you could pull that out, put that back to wherever you keep tools, and then you have a pen holder. And that holds pretty well once it's all dry. You can put a pencil in there and it won't go through all the way because we've got this bottom on that. Okay, so the rest of this kit is pretty much up to you how you want to dress it up. If you've got extra paper, making pockets that you can then attach to these flaps is a really good thing. I'm gonna not show you that part, but I do want to show you the journals and how I go about putting the journals. So I showed this before. I printed off all 20. I put a cover on it. I threw a staple in the center. I used copper ones just to kind of make it seem a little more vintage. And then it is ready to go inside our little elastic here. And I like to have it go in the one that we have the staples in. So So that is going to hold in really nice in that one. And I'm going to show you with this one what I did. Okay, so I have my 20 pages. These are just the pages from the kit. I've printed them on 32-pound cover stock. Is it 20? Yeah, 32 premium. And then this cover is printed on the cardstock, and I just printed 2 of the papers from the kit to be the cover, and I'm gonna put them all together before I even cut them. Just stack them together. Then I'm going to grab my best thrift find ever, which is my long arm stapler, which you can buy long arm staplers. If you don't have a long arm stapler, another way to do this is that you're just going to measure from this end over 5.5 inches, and that is where you're going to put your staples. If you have a normal stapler, you could use a piece of foam, lay it down, open it up, and staple in those sections. If you don't have a stapler, you can sew it, or, which is a lot to go through, or you can use your owl or pokey tool, measure over the amount that you want, use your staple to give you where you want your holes to go, and then you can just insert those yourself. Lucky for me, I have this cool little tool. So I'm going to move it over, make sure that this guard has this nice little guard that helps me to be able to know where I'm putting my staples. I'm first going to go in the middle. And I'm going to try to see if I can do this in the middle without being off camera. Punch it down. This is going through a lot of paper, so some force is necessary. That center one bent on me. I have noticed that the copper staples are more apt to bend. There, that looks good. Okay, now that I have that cut out, I'm going to just chop these off. You could use a razor blade and a ruler. I don't know where I just put it. I got it. Yeah. A ruler. And my printer, when it prints, it does this funny thing. So it always prints, and this is because I tell it to print double-sided. And so it will run a print through, and then this, I don't know if you can tell. Let's see if I have some sort of light. We're going to borrow this light. Whew, I don't know if that's blinding you. If you can see how it has about 1/8 of an inch of the other side always on this side. And then I know that on this side of the paper, it's done the same thing, but on the opposite edge. So when I go to cut this, I know that this side is going to trim off a little bit on that edge. But when I do this side, when I chop this side, I'm going to go in a little bit on that side, and it will chop off the white that's on that side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and chop these with my big chopper, and I'll be right back. Boom, and like magic, I have chopped all my sides. Okay, so you can see how it trimmed off the white on that side, and then it trimmed off the white on this side. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of white that shows up, but that's why I then go around and I ink because this is all chopped evenly, I can come in here and I can ink all my sides at the same time. I'm sure watching this is just fascinating. Sorry, I try to save all the tedious stuff for off camera, but today you get it. I'm just going around the edges of this just to beautify it, make it look like it's been around for a while. Okay, got a mess. Okay, so now that I have that, I just have to fold this in half. It does give you that little like V, but because this isn't like book form, like I want it to kind of be this fun little paperback journal that I can just take out and put back in. And go on both sides here, and then you could always, like, I like to fold it back and go at it one more time with this. I know I'm like really anal with the white and I will probably go in and attack any white that I see when I open it up later. Don't have to worry about the top and bottom so much because that all gets evenly chopped. Okay, so now we have our fun journal, and we can, whoop, that's the wrong one. We can go ahead and put this right in here. Now all that is left, boom. Now all that is left is to take the rest of our fun goodies that come with the kit, there are a lot, and dress this sucker up. And it'll be beautiful when you're all done. You could like go to the beginning and watch the replay, or I could just show you this one and how we have our pockets. We have these fun little things. You can use some mounting tape to make things pop out. All of our little apothecary tools. This is a little fun one that comes with the kit, and then you can like put all your little apothecary bottles in there. Lots of fun. Dressing it up with all the stuff that comes with the kit. Make some different pockets, little labels, buttons, all sorts of stuff. Little lady. Okay. There is going to be a companion video that goes with this. That'll be a separate video, and that will show you how to make this fun little other project that I'm doing, which is going to be a notebook. I haven't put it together yet because I'm waiting, but I really loved how this particular notepad turned out. So this will be a companion little notebook that will be with it. So look for that. I will link the video to that one. But that is the end of our Apothecary album. I think I'm going to call it an album. Have a good one. I hope you liked everything. Go look us up on Etsy, Lost Treasure Designs, or you can go to losttreasuredesigns.com. But thank you very much for watching.